What's going on, beautiful people of YouTube? It's Renebean. Welcome back to the shop and to another episode of Life of a Game Hunter / Collector, where we're out here making some money, cleaning, fixing, repairing, doing the usual. I'm going to go ahead and announce the winner to the last episode giveaway, and that winner is, I'm probably going to butcher the last name, Christopher Cousinye. I want to say that's what it is. You know who you are. Hit me up on Instagram to claim. We only got 2 left. You got your option of these 2 Pokemon gym badges. For everybody else, for the chance to win the last one, just be subscribed to the channel, hit the thumbs up, and leave a comment down below. But anyways, people, we got a lot of work to do. Sit back and relax. Let's fix some things. Alright guys, so I am going to apologize. You can hear the construction going on literally right beside me. There's nothing that I can do about it. But as someone said before, while they're out there constructing, I'm in here fixing. So I mean, it's just the way it is. So try to ignore it. I'll try to talk a little bit louder, but you may be hearing some beeping and all sorts of craziness. So anyways, what we're going to work on today is we're going to maybe 1 or 2. I know we're going to do 1 for sure. Maybe 2 NES consoles. We're going to do a complete refurb on those. And then I want to show you something that a lot of people don't realize you can actually sell and make quite a bit of money from. So anyways, this is the unit right here. Anytime I get an NES, I always check it the same way. I want to see, can it actually be fixed? So what I do is I plug it up, obviously. The first key sign is it has, you know, the blinking red light or any red light whatsoever. The second sign is there is some sort of video signal. You can see the screen's flashing red. It doesn't matter the color. It could be white, blue, any color of the rainbow. That does not determine if the NES is defective or not. That's the key sign saying that, hey, we got a video signal, because if you have an NES that has no video signal, it's a lot more of a pain in the ass to fix than one that doesn't. I usually just part those out. So the second thing that I do is I got to see if it's going to read a game. So we're going to take Super Mario 3. This is not clean, but I'm just looking for a little bit of signal that lets me know that this is going to read a game. So I'm going to stick it in, and then as it's on, I'm just going to manipulate it a little bit, hit the reset button just to see if I can get a signal out of it. May take a few tries. See, it's starting to do something. It's trying to read. Let's give it the classic blow test here. Alright, there's that. There we go. You see, it is loading the game, but it's still blinking. On this unit, I am not going to disable the lockout chip. It's a double-edged sword for people who want to disable it and people who don't. I usually disable it, but for the sake of this video, I'm not going to, just because I wanted to show you that yes, it can not blink if you do this refurb right. I still like to disable the lockout chip, because unless you're playing like a lot of crazy unlicensed games, it serves more harm than good. So anyways, what we're going to do, it's going to be just like a Gordon Ramsay video. We're going to do this all in recipes. The only thing you're going to need for this recipe is a Phillips of some sort that can fit into these screws. There's a lot of screws we're going to be taking out, but it's not that big of a deal. You're going to need a pick. Why does I spit everywhere? This is the pick that I use whenever I refurbish my pens, which is the most important step. You're going to need some alcohol. You're going to need some Q-tips. And we're going to need some sandpaper. The sandpaper that I use, this is a 400 grit, or not grip, 400 grit sandpaper. It's very light. It doesn't take off a lot. You don't want something too heavy. This works perfect for me. Let me go ahead and angle this camera down a little here. And we'll worry about cleaning this once the unit is done. So anyways, let's do it. Alright, with the top off, we got to remove some more screws all the way around the shielding plate. There's a lot of screws in this, but they're all the same size except for 2, and you'll know which ones those are when we get to them. So let's remove these. Alright, we got those screws out. The shielding plate comes right off. I like to keep it in the top of the NES, just like a little tray. The next step is we got 6 more screws. We got 2 here and then 4 up top. The ones on the bottom right here, that is the only screw that's different. It's just longer. That way it catches the bottom of the board. But do not lose that screw or try to put that screw in a different spot. Alright, so with those 6 screws out, you can lift the side of this board and just slide this right out. And that's your tray right there. So one thing, like if you have a defective console, like there is no saving it, I will part this thing out 100%. I'll sell the shell separately, the controller ports, the power buttons, the tray itself, the NES pin. You can make more doing that by selling just the defective console. It's more work, but at the same time, it's just a matter of what you want to put into it. All right, next step is we got to pull this 72 pin connector off. So just grab it kind of firmly on the board. Make sure you're not grabbing anything, and just kind of twist it off. Ooh, definitely is going to need a cleaning. And this pin set is what we're going to be refurbishing mainly. This is a good time while you got this up to hit it with some air, whether it's a can of compressed air. You got your hand rocket here. For me, I'm going to use my air compressor. Alright, so the next step, what we're going to do is we're going to sand this before we start to actually bend them back. And I like to do this that way I can get, this is going to be the flattest it'll be, or the most even. So when you sand it first, and I'm going to sand it again after, you just cover a little bit more area. I don't know how that makes sense, if it even does, but for me it does. So I'm just going to sand this back and forth. I don't have to get too crazy, because remember, it's going to be closer to that plastic, so you are going to be rubbing plastic if you ain't careful. Alright, a lot of people ask me, like, can I use this sandpaper, this sandpaper? As long as you're not using anything, I would say, like, below 200, 300 grit, you should be fine. The higher the grit number, the more fine it's going to be. When it gets too low, it won't glide. You're not doing it right. So the next step is we're going to bend each individual pin up. I got this pick set, local hardware store. Maybe it was like $5. It had some other picks in there. Let me show you what I'm talking about here with it. And it's kind of hard to do this on camera, but you see, I always start from the left to right. I just glide my pick in, and I don't want to go too high, but just raise it just a little bit, and I'm going to do that all the way across them. And as you can see, if I can get an angle, the two on the left are raised just a little bit. I don't want it to go crazy high, otherwise the pins will be too tight. So I'm going to do that for all of them here. Alright guys, so once you get done doing all the pins themselves individually, try to make them as even as possible. Now's the time to get a pot of boiling water going. Now some people will argue, they say all you have to do is boil it, you don't have to sand it, none of that. Bull. You need to sand it 100%. This is going to guarantee that these pins are professionally refurbished to the point that they perform like they did when they were brand new. So once you got all those pins up and your water's boiling, this is when we're going to sand, and you're going to find that sanding's a little bit harder, but that's a good thing. It means the pins are going to be tighter and it's not going to be loose. Alright, so once you got that sanded, this is one of the most crucial parts. You have to clean this board right here. You have to clean these pins top and bottom perfectly. You can use isopropyl alcohol, the highest percent you can get. I think what I use is 91 for most everything. But if you're lucky enough to have some Bright Boy, it will cut the time in half, because it takes a while to clean these pins. But make sure you are very meticulous about it, and the Q-tip comes out clean when everything is said and done. So we're going to go from the top, and then I'm going to hit the bottom up, and you'll see just how bad this Q-tip gets. So just a couple swipes like that, and you can already see my Q-tip is already taking some damage here. Alright, before I continue cleaning this, I'm going to go drop this into the boiling water with the pins right on the bottom of the pan, and I'm only going to let it cook for maybe 3 minutes with the water boiling. Get you an NES game that you don't care about. The one that I always use is Double Dribble basketball game. It's a cheap game. It's only like $2 at that. Dollar game all day at the yard sale. But after those 2 or 3 minutes, I'm going to take this out using a pair of tongs. Then you can usually grab it right after. It doesn't retain heat that well. And then you can take the cartridge and actually go in and out with the water. Don't worry about it. Like I said, it's got to be a game you don't care about. I do dry it at the end of it, but you do risk rust on your cartridges. I take it and I go in and out multiple times, and what that does is help realign these pins, and then I'm going to stick it back in for about another 2 minutes, and it is done. Let's go ahead and put this in the water. Alright, so I added the pins to the boiling water. I'm going to touch these up one more time and then go in there, and then that should be good to go. Alright, so my pins are done boiling, but you're going to notice one thing. These things are ridiculously wet. I cannot stress this enough. And if you've gotten this far, if you've taken this all, you should know, do not put this back in until it is 100% dry. Now, before I had an air compressor or even my hand rocket, honestly, I would just use a hair dryer. I would beat it out, and then I would maybe let it sit for like, 20-30 minutes after that and blow it again. My air compressor dries this thing in a matter of like a minute. Alright, so now it's time for reassembly. Right before I put everything back together, I love to hit this one more time with some isopropyl. This is going to be the last time this thing sees the light of day, so we want to make sure it's perfect. Nothing's landed on it. We don't want any sort of thing on there at all. Alright, with that cleaned up, we're going to insert this back on. Now, when assembling, putting this thing back together, and I have decided I am going to do another NES console, and then that one I am going to disable the lockout chip, so you can see a side by side of what they are. This is your time to clean everything. So if your tray's dirty, give it a quick wipe down. If it's open and you got access to it, just do it, get it done. There's no sense in not. All right, putting your tray back on, you have to be very careful and make sure that these things have a little clip. This little clip right here has to be under the board for it to sit perfectly. And a lot of people will have that above the board, and you won't be able to shut it right. And you'll know it's on there if you lift up and it lifts the whole board. Make sure that you're pressing the back of the pin and making sure it's on 100% before we start to put some screws in. The screws that you need to start with are the ones that are longer than everything else. Those are the ones that connect this directly to the board. Alright, so once the assembly is done, I am going to clean this thing up. The best thing that I have found to clean an NES console is the magic eraser. Just with whatever textured plastic they use, with how well these things work, this thing cleans it up in no time. So all I like to do, hit this with a little isopropyl, and I will say, do not get alcohol anywhere near this Nintendo label right here. Use water and be very quick about it. The magic eraser will take it right off as well. But for all these bigger parts, there ain't no better thing to use than the magic eraser. Grab you a toothbrush that you don't use personally in your mouth and get in these little grooves right here. Doesn't take much just to get the bigger chunks out. I don't usually go crazy with this part right here. I just like to get most of it out. Now the magic eraser does leave a white film, but it comes off easily. I use the sanitation cloths for it. You can just use it, doesn't matter. It's easier for me. It's all said and done. And this is the final part for the console. Alright guys, that console looks so much better. That's night and day. I love bringing these things back to life. So before we plug this up, I know it's going to work. I want to go ahead and show you how to disable a lockout chip. I'm going to get one more NES done because I know with the second I list this one, someone's going to be after it, and somebody might miss out who's watching the video. So let's go ahead. We got another unit right here. Let's give it the quick test. See if it's going to do like it's supposed to, and if we'll be able to get a video from it. There we go. God almighty, that one's real bad. Alright, so I'm going to take this thing completely apart, do the full refurb of what you just saw. The only thing I'm going to show you is how to disable the lockout chip. And I know some people are going to say you don't need to disable it, or they have reasons not to, and there's 100 people that say you need to. For me personally, I disable the lockout chip. Even if your NES console is 100% clean, your game is 100% clean, you still can get the blinking light. I have seen it. Because that is the issue. The 10 NES on that pin is what causes that. Alright, so when disabling the lockout chip, once you got everything removed and it's free from the actual housing itself, we're going to tilt this back. I never have to take this whole thing completely out. And this one, unfortunately, has a bunch of capacitors. It's always, sometimes the capacitors aren't near it, sometimes they're right on it like this one. So I'm going to bend these caps back very carefully. Get them to move the other direction because I don't want to damage those while removing this. I'm going to try to show you this on camera, but I couldn't do it on camera. There ain't no way, but I'm going to show you what you got to remove. Alright. This board right here, if we counted the pins from the left side, we're going to remove the 4th one. So you start over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to remove that completely from the housing. I use a pick, I pry it in there, and I just pop it right out. Alright, I got it completely separated from that board right there, from the chip. So now all we got to do is finish the refurb process, and then I'm going to show you how they perform next to each other, which they're going to be identical, but we'll talk more about the issues of disabling the lockout chip. Alright guys, so I just got done finishing the refurb job on this one. This is the one with the disabled lockout chip. Luckily the construction has stopped because it started raining. So before we get that one going, let's pull out the one that does not have the disabled lockout chip and plug it up and just show you how it's going to work here. Now this is a key ingredient right here. No matter how well you do your console, how good of a job you do, it will not work properly if your game is not clean. And I can't stress that enough. If your game is 100% clean, your console is too, well, you got the recipe for a good working unit. So let's go ahead and clean this one out. Just a little bright boy on the pin should bring it back to life. Or, you know, if you don't have bright boy isopropyl, just make sure it's 100%. Oof, look at those pins. You can tell that card has been enjoyed. Let's see how well the bright boy does on it. Oh, look at the difference on those pins, guys. It looks so much better. Oh, that's amazing. That bright boy is just, it's killer stuff, man. So anyways, let's put this back together. Alright guys, so we got this game 100% clean. Let's see if it's going to work like it's supposed to. We open it up, put the card in, press it down. Voila, works just fine. This one does not have a disabled lockout chip, so it can still blink. So if your game's not in there properly, you can still get this. That's going to happen regardless. I'm not a fan of that. There are reasons to want a disabled lockout chip removed or not removed. I can see both sides of the picture, but for me, I personally like removing it. It can fail on you regardless, and a lot of people don't realize that. Just because your console's clean, everything else, it can fail over time. And unless you're playing, like I said, a bunch of unlicensed games, you know, like wisdom tree games and whatnot, though they can interfere, they may not load properly. The games themselves can get hot. I don't play a lot of unlicensed games, and when I do, it's for short periods of time. They're usually not that great to begin with. So I do disable it. Plus, I can play some pretty wild imports at the same time when it's disabled. So this one, good to go. This console's working as it should. This one will be available. All these consoles that I do are usually on Mercari. If you don't see it on Mercari, just hit me up on Instagram. I just haven't listed it, or someone else already bought it. Alright, so this is the one that has the disabled lockout chip. So let's go ahead and plug it up. And you'll see right away that the power light, it doesn't blink at all regardless of a game being in there or not. Let's go ahead and plug up the AV here. Got our signal. Let's see if it'll work. Voila, this one works just fine too. Like I said, they both usually have the same outcome. I don't have much issue out of it. Usually when I do orders for NESs, they always want the lockout chip disabled regardless. To me, it's the more popular opinion. And I know I'm going to have people say that you don't need to do this, or you need to do this. I've been doing this for years now. I've refurbished well over 100 or so NESs, probably more than that. I have no idea. And I do a good job with them. I like to give my customer a good product, and you should have that quality whenever you're doing stuff like this. I see people at conventions and whatnot selling NESs for the same price that I sell them, but they haven't done anything except put the game in, like messed with it for like a minute just to get the game working to see if it actually works. I shouldn't have to tell a customer, well, yeah, this NES works, but you're going to have to really mess with that game to get it to load. No, mine is, when you get it, you put your game in, sit back and relax and play the game. So with that said, we got 2 NESs done. Those will be available. If anybody's interested, hit me up on Instagram, where they'll be on Mercari. Links are in the description. The final thing that I want to talk to you about And a lot of people don't realize these are worth money. What I do, anytime I come across NES bundles, whether it's out, a yard sale, flea market, and I pick up a game or two and they have the sleeves on there, the plastic sleeves, I always save the official brand NES sleeves right here. This whole bag is completely full of them. They all have the red logo right here, the red Nintendo logo. And I save the heck out of these. I wait until I get a handful. I don't know, I maybe got 30 or 40 in here. And the ones that I use for my collection are the unbranded ones. I don't care. It doesn't bother me. The reason that I do this, that I save these, is these things are worth quite a bit. Now, they're not like $20 a piece or anything, but when you bundle lots like this bag right here, I guarantee you I could probably get 60 bucks or so for it. If you think I'm crazy, go on eBay and type in Nintendo official sleeves. People will sell 2 of them for $10, things like that. What I love is they are so light too. This whole bag is probably like 1.5 pounds. I'll do them in lots, that way they're under a pound and I can first class them, and I will make some good money. And a lot of people, I'm telling you, a lot of people overlook them. I'll see people selling like an $8 game on eBay with one of these on there. I'm like, don't do that shit. Take the thing off and save it. Pardon my cussing here, but I mean, come on now. These things are worth it. I save them up. It takes me a while. Like, this is probably like half of the season worth. And I can usually get about 2 bags like this at a time. And I'll just look at other listings. I'll see, you know, what their going rate is, who has the better deal, and I'll put them up there, and they always sell. So guys, be on the lookout, especially like SNES official cases or protective dust covers, or like clamshell cases that are official Nintendos. I've sold like 4 blue ones. I remember selling those like last year for like $25. People want them. I understand that there are elitist collectors out there. That's fine by me. I will sit back and make money off of it. So guys, be on the lookout for this. So anyways, that's the video. I hope you guys learned something and have enjoyed it. So as always, guys, take care. Enjoy the rest of your day.